All right, last Metal Monday of January, and it is cold as hell in Idaho. How is it
It is.
in Chicago? Where are you at, Brett?
Yeah, I was in Chicago yesterday and then earlier today, and then I was up in Benton Harbor, Michigan, and now I'm down in Indiana. So it's crappy weather over here too, but that's life.
That is some killer wallpaper you got going on there. So,
Dude, I'm in a quaint little town in Indiana with quilt pictures on the wall.
awesome.
It's probably one of the oldest hotels I've at least oldest furnished hotels I've stayed in a long time. But I like it.
It's cool.
It's kind of homey. It's kind of homely. Like I like it. It's good.
And we didn't film it earlier, but we tried to do this and we couldn't get a strong enough signal, but they are might be old and homely and classic, but they
But
do.
they have. I found some Wi-Fi,
We got Wi-Fi.
so
So the technology is still there. I love it. All right.
dude, it
Next
is. It
week,
is, man. It's so.
next week we're gonna be into February ferrous prices. Everyone and their dog that works in a scrapyard is curious where that's gonna land. And everyone I've talked to think it's gonna be up. But has anything changed from last week?
You know, it feels still like the sentiment's there just because the weather's tough and the flow is not great. So it depends on how the steel mills performed. If they had they got the units that they bought in January. I think that's going to be the biggest question mark. I've got my Bulls versus Bears podcast with Chad scheduled this week. So we'll have that coming out towards the end of the week. So we'll have a pretty good opinion on his end, but I feel like the sentiment's still pretty positive. So I feel good about it. Now I'm not saying we're in some crazy bull market where the market's just going to rip higher, by $100 a ton or anything. I still feel like there's still some money in it.
Gotcha. How are the other markets doing? I mean, copper came off this morning, today. Is that with China, the Chinese New Year end? Is that where some of the
Yeah,
are coming
yeah.
from?
I think and it'll be interesting to see how this week rolls out. I mean, I think that all eyes are on the Fed again. Um, trying to decide what they're going to do with the rates. And I was reading an article earlier about the Fed discussing the seriousness or potential seriousness of the rates, and I think that's going to play a role to a certain extent on the commodities being traded. The market's still hanging around fairly tough. In the 420s is still good. It's still good copper pricing. So I'm not complaining about that whatsoever. Even in the teens, four and whatever into the teens is still good. So, like I said, it's the combination of just getting the material bought at a fair price, getting it processed, and getting it moved. That's kind of the real linchpin of the deal, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it's just cold all over the country, and some places are getting
Yeah.
snow. Equipment. We've had some of our equipment go down today, some minimal stuff, but that's happening nationwide. It makes the flow hard.
It's
So
gonna wreak havoc. It's gonna wreak havoc on trucking. It's gonna wreak havoc on moving, processing, inbound, outbound, scrap. So, like I said, pricing is gonna probably depend on units and units available and demand on the backside. So, we'll see. I feel still the sentiment on the fair side. I still feel pretty positive.
Well, I'll also wait to hear your Bulls versus Bears later this week, and we'll get a little more there. And then if you get a chance,
Let's talk football Friday, man. I didn't get my cherry bet. Neither did you. It was like basically like a push, wasn't it?
I got my cherry.
Oh, you did.
I was Eagles,
You
baby.
took the
I
you
took the
took the
Eagles.
Eagles.
I got
Well,
Eagles,
I thought
baby.
I'd bet the Eagles, but you put
You
the
did,
Eagles and
but
the
I
cherry.
I put you got Eagle. We both got Eagles, and then I picked.
But
I
you
got
got
the
the
Chiefs.
cherry.
Yep. So we're gonna be pretty
Dang it.
even. The Super Bowl is gonna be
It's
the
going into
same,
Super Bowl as the tie is the tiebreaker.
but we're gonna have to make it interesting because I know I'm leaning towards the Eagles, as most of the country probably is. So
Yeah.
we'll have to figure out how to bet that so it makes it competitive. I don't want us to both bet the
I
Eagles.
think dude, I think we gotta flip a coin, man.
We'll flip a coin
If
on
we
Football
both want
Friday.
if we both want the Eagles, come when it comes down to it, a week from this Friday, if we both still like the Eagles, then it's going to be coin flip time. That's who we're going to cheer for.
I like it. We got a whole week to hear the chatter. Maybe our decisions will
Yeah.
change, but we will flip a coin. I should always just flip a coin because I would probably have better odds if I just flipped a coin because I might be the worst football bettor in the whole world. So,
Man, I was on the plane real quick. No, I was on the plane yesterday, getting ready to go to Chicago, and we were in Denver, and they said, okay, and I was flying Southwest, and they have Wi-Fi on the plane, so I was able to watch the second half of the game. Well, I'm on the plane and watching the game, and they're like, oh, we're gonna stop the Wi-Fi because we have to de-ice. Everybody's like, oh, because it was in like 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
the
And for
Cincy
some
game.
reason, the last game was because it was last night.
Yeah.
And so for some reason some bags got delayed or whatever the case may be. So we kept sitting there. So I was able to watch the game all the way to the end before they cut the Wi-Fi. So I was like, all right, the first time I've been happy to have the flight kind of half-ass delayed. So it worked out good.
So to that game, real quick, so we gotta wrap this up. But I felt really bad. I was going for the Bengals, even though I bet on the Chiefs. I just did that because you picked the Bengals. I wanted to make it interesting. But that guy had that late hit on Mahomes, put him in field goal range. That's a killer. Yeah. But you know what I liked about that? You see that guy crying because he cares so much. He wouldn't do that on purpose.
No, that was not an intentional late hit, but I mean, it was within the rules. I mean, they had to throw a flag, but he was just playing his guts out, man.
That was the late hit. I felt awful for him, but you see his teammates go there and try to lift him up, and they back him up, even though that's a big mistake. But like those guys are moving so fast, and they have to make such quick.
At the end of the day, man. At the end of the day, like that's life in a nutshell, right? Like sometimes when you're trying to do all the right things, you just don't catch a break. And that's business, that's life. But if you keep doing the right things and you keep playing hard, eventually that break goes in your favor. So it is what it is. Sometimes it's going to go sideways on you. But generally speaking, doing the right thing, hustling, busting your butt, you're going to get more breaks in your favor than against you. That one just happened to not go in his favor at a crucial time.
It didn't. And like you said, you could take those. And there's so many lessons to be learned in sports from the young age to professional athletes. Like there's so many parables that go into real life. And that's why I love sports so much. But anyway.
Absolutely, man.
Brett, you have a good rest of your trip.
All right, brother.
Back in Idaho.
I will. I'll see you in a couple of days.
See you.